heard a very beautiful song, which was in Hindi, of course. The words were, God is with me, or I am in the company of God. So what is the need to fear? Of course, there were many other things in this song, but that's the subject I'm going to take up today. Methods for overcoming fear. Fear is a very big weakness of the soul. It can also be called a vice. It's not an exaggeration to call fear a vice, because any type of weakness in the soul is a vice. Just as when we say sex, lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, all these are vices. And then sometimes laziness, carelessness, bossiness, all these are vices too. Similarly, fear is a very big vice, a big weakness of the soul. It results due to lack of faith in the self, lack of self-respect, lack of faith in the Supreme, and so on. If you make a list, how does fear come, or what is it due to? Definitely it is lack of all the values. And so easily we say, oh, I'm so afraid. I'm afraid to do this. Well, if we see the positive side of it, then maybe we are thinking of doing something wrong, and then there is fear of doing wrong. That is a good fear, because the soul is stopping. The inner conscience is stopping the soul, rather, to do that wrong act. And therefore there is fear, because it's against the conscience. But then fear as a weakness also comes because my determination isn't there. Baba sometimes says, lack of determination leads to fear. So let us make a list of all the different types of fears and how we can overcome them all. Because situation remains the same. But some people are able to face that boldly, and some are not. For example, some people are so afraid of darkness. They're afraid to go into the darkness, while some don't get afraid. They say, oh, so what? Doesn't matter. Some people are afraid of big heights, I know someone who has never traveled in an aeroplane, never. She doesn't ever want to fly in an aeroplane, and I asked her why. She said, I'm afraid because of heights. What if the aeroplane crashes? What if something happens. But if you see that all these fears are ultimately leading to the fear of death, isn't it? Any type of fear. If it's fear of darkness, okay, why is there fear of darkness? If you ask someone, why are you afraid of darkness? Darkness is nothing actually. It doesn't really exist as something solid or tangible. It is actually the absence of light. So what is there to be afraid of? But then the answer comes, well, because it is dark, I may fall. So I'm afraid of breaking my leg. You can go on and on. Okay, why are you afraid of breaking your leg? Oh, because if I break my leg, then I'll be stranded, I'll be in bed for so many months maybe. I'll not be able to do anything. Okay, why are you afraid of heights? Because I may die. So ultimately, the fear is of death. Just as we talk about things in a positive way. For example, supposing someone says, I need money, I want money. Why do you want money? Why do you need it? It says, so that I can buy things for myself. Because I need them. Okay, why do you need to buy those things? So that I may survive. And some may say it in the other way. I need that, I want that because so that I may live comfortably. And why do you want to live comfortably? Ultimately, the answer will be peace and happiness, which are the values of the soul. We sometimes do a workshop on this. Supposing you think of anything physical, and then what does that physical thing remind you of? Maybe it's a watch. Okay, you think of a watch. What does this remind you of? Then you'll say, it reminds me of time. What does time remind you of? You can go on and on and on. Ultimately, you will come to some value. It's for everything. So from the physical thing, you go to the subtle thing, ultimately. So whatever we are afraid of, we may think it in a very gross way that this is something physical I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of a robber. Someone may rob me. I'm afraid of even an ant, a cockroach. Sometimes people are afraid of cockroaches, these little worms, they're just afraid. Why are you afraid? They are so innocent. What will they do to you? But no. I asked someone, why are you afraid of this little worm? Oh, it's so dirty. It's so dirty. It's supposed to be in the mud all the time, but why are you afraid? It's dirty, okay, but why are you afraid? Oh, supposing it hurts me, then they can go on. Supposing it's poisonous, ultimately say, supposing I die, So the ultimate fear is the fear of death. If we think of any type of fear, we will reach to the last answer, that is death. But if we want to overcome this fear, let us start from there. When I have this knowledge of the self, that I never die, it's such a beautiful feeling. I'm eternal, just imagine. Not only I will never die, but also I was never born. And because I was never born, I will never die. Anything which is born has to die one day. Nothing physical in this world is eternal in the same way. Because when we talk about nature, nature's other word is something which is always in motion, always changing. Electrons, protons, in an atom, they're always in motion. So nothing is stationary. And therefore the other name for nature is change. Therefore in business management they have a phrase. They say everything changes in this world except change. Huh? Except change. You can't change change. The change is inevitable. It is always there. You can't change it. Every moment there is a change. But I am eternal. Physically, I never change. Even if somebody would want to burn this body, want to kill someone alive, just burn him. Well, the body may burn, but the soul will fly away. It can't burn. Somebody may kill someone, shoot someone. Well, the body may die, but the soul will fly away. So I am eternal. Baba sometimes says, even if you have to die, it doesn't matter, but don't lose your happiness. Happiness is more important than even death. Why? Because you'll get another body, doesn't matter. It's going to come, but your happiness is the value of the soul, which cannot be brought back easily. And in order to overcome this fear, the greatest thought would be to keep this consciousness all the time that I am an eternal being. I was never born and I'm never going to die. In Golden Age, the deities are called immortal. Why are they called immortal? Not that they don't leave the body. They do leave the body. That is, death is inevitable for everyone, the one who has taken a body. But why are they called immortal? Immortal not because they don't leave the body. Immortal because of many other reasons. The first reason is that they have the knowledge of the immortal soul. The deities have the knowledge of the immortal soul. In today's world, the bodily beings who are so body conscious, they do not have this knowledge of the immortal soul, though they do say, they remember the soul only at the time of someone's death. When someone dies, the first prayer they will do is, "Oh God, may his soul rest in peace." The body is already resting in peace. It's there, resting in peace. But still, people pray to God for the peace of the soul. Therefore, we can say that today there is fear of death. The first reason is because there's ignorance of the knowledge of the soul. The thought of a soul comes only when someone dies. We say, left for heavenly abode. So who left? The body is there. It's not very definite in any religion about the soul, how it exists, where it goes. In many religions, they believe that the soul remains with the body, when the body is buried. The soul remains there, and then the time of segregation, when God will come, then He will liberate the souls. Well, the bodies won't go because they will disintegrate and mix with the elements of the body. But yes, they think the soul will go at that time when God will come to take back the souls. Or they say God makes the dead become alive. Well, the bodies will not become alive after 1,000 years or anything. In the olden days, they used to embalm the bodies, the mummies, embalmed bodies. And they thought maybe one day they will become alive. But we know that in this way, life won't come back. Many scientists are trying to find out the reason, the cause why death occurs. And what could they do to make someone alive and or immortal, live forever? But Baba says this is like interfering in God's work. Actually, the one who has come in this world has to go one day. What if no one would die? I mean, just imagine. What would happen? What would happen if there would be only birth and birth and birth and no death? What would happen? Can you imagine? Huh? What if there would be no retirement after 58 years or 60 years? Then how would other people get the seat? How would there be progress? The older ones would occupy everything, and not give chance to the younger ones. So, this is the law of nature. Everything goes through its golden, silver, copper, iron stages. So the body has to deteriorate. But I am eternal. This consciousness makes me young forever in that way. So in Golden Age, the knowledge of the soul as an immortal, eternal being is very much there. In a very natural way. It's not being told there again and again, just as we give the knowledge here or we read it, I'm a soul. Baba keeps telling us, children, be soul conscious, children, be soul conscious. In Golden Age, the deities won't remind each other, are you soul conscious? Are you soul conscious? No. They are naturally soul conscious. Or they won't even tell them that you have to be soul conscious. So whatever knowledge Baba gives us here is in a natural form in Golden Age. But when does this knowledge emerge? It is there in a natural form without mentioning it. But when does this knowledge emerge? When the soul is to leave the body. The soul realizes that now this body has become old. I have to relinquish it. I have to leave it. And it gets a vision of a new born baby. And it gets that feeling that a point of light, I'm leaving this body and I'll enter that newborn baby's body. But I am eternal. So this consciousness is so strong in them at the time of leaving the body that they leave the body at their own will. With that right consciousness and that detachment, that now it's time for me to renounce these old clothes. And because the new body is there in front of that person, that soul, there's no fear. It's like, as Baba says, changing the costume. But here in Kali Yuga, it's not like that. That's why the fear. There is, first of all, the fear of leaving the body, because the soul is so attached to the body. It's just like wearing very tight clothes, such tight clothes. And you have to remove them because they're dirty, whatever. You sometimes will feel lazy to remove them because they're so tight, and then to remove them is such hard work. But if they are loose clothes, then so easy to remove. Tight pants, so difficult to remove. But loose, okay. Therefore, soul consciousness enables us to be detached from the body, and therefore we are like loosening our costume. In a second I can go beyond. I'm a soul seated here in the center of my forehead. I'm the master of my senses. So that's what we do in yoga, is it not? And I have the knowledge that I'm an entity separate from the body. So in Golden Age, this knowledge is very much there. And therefore, there's no fear of death. And that's why the deities are called immortal. Secondly, the fear of death comes because there are attachments. And death means renouncing or leaving everything behind. Attachments are the greatest cause of fear. What if I lose it? What if it is taken away from me? Possessiveness and attachments are the second greatest, I should say, cause of fear. And here Baba is teaching us how to overcome attachments. Why does Baba say that children consider everything to belong to me? It is Baba's, it is not mine, it belongs to Baba. So if something belongs to someone else, you don't get afraid of losing it, you know. It's so natural. It's just like, supposing very interesting things happen. I don't know if it happens in your countries too. In the train, someone starts shouting, "Oh, my suitcase is stolen, my suitcase is stolen. Someone took away my bag, someone took away my purse, it's not there." And all of a sudden, the first thought will come, I'll go and check my bag. Hope it's safe. Then I say, yes, my suitcase is safe, my bag is safe. And then, okay, what happened? But that fear is not there. The instant fear comes because I'm afraid maybe mine is stolen away too. Therefore, the fear of losing because of attachment is the second cause of fear of death. Naturally, when the soul leaves the body, everything has to be left behind. Nothing is carried away. I tell you a very interesting incident of an old lady. She was so attached to her possessions. Maybe she had gold, she had diamonds, she had lots of wealth. And they were all put away in a cupboard, very powerful, strong locker. And she was growing very old. Her children asked her, "Where is the key to this locker? Give the key." She refused to give the key. She never told anyone where the key was. And she was reaching her deathbed, she was on deathbed. And her children asking her, "Where is the key?" They didn't care whether she died or not, but then they wanted the key. But still she did not. So this is a true story. And ultimately she died. Of course, everyone has to die. So they didn't really cry over her death, but then after she died, the very thought, where is the key? And they examined her body. Well, now she's dead, so she can't say, "Don't touch me." And the key was found, where? In the petticoat, The sisters wear the skirt, and in the skirt elastic or the band, it was, tied in that. And maybe every day when she was changing her skirt, she was taking it out and putting it here, so where else will it go? She's dead. Now she can't tell anyone, "Don't take it, who are you to touch me?" She's dead. So ultimately she didn't take anything with her. But I'm sure the last thought must have been that, "Oh, I hope nobody takes away my key." There's an interesting joke on this. Once there was a very big miser. He was a miser, a stingy person. He had lots of wealth. Maybe it's a true story. He had lots of wealth, but he did not tell anyone. And when he was about to die, his children asked him, "Where is all the money?" But he did not answer. And he wanted to say, but he couldn't speak. His voice stopped. He just couldn't say anything. Then the children were wanting him to say something, because he probably wanted to say where the money was as he was dying. But he couldn't speak. So they called the doctor and said, please do something so that he's at least able to say where the money is kept. And the doctors, they gave him some injection, and then he came back into consciousness. But they were staying in a village, and in the village, the cows, the sheep, and all the buffalo, all the animals also live in the family like that. So a baby cow, means the calf, was chewing a broom. Chewing, sometimes they chew things like that. So he became conscious and he said, oh, broom, 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 That means please save that broom from that calf because it is chewing it. And broom, 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 and he died. So what was the last thought? The broom. Just imagine the sweeping, for sweeping they use the broom. So the last thought was that, just imagine. That's why a dying man is told, remember God now, remember God. Don't remember any human beings, remember God. But the one who has never remembered God in his whole lifetime, naturally, he will not be able to at the end anyway. And that fear will remain, and he'll die with that fear. And the last thought has a very important role to play for his next birth also. So that's why Baba says, you have to renounce the attachments. That will be your last test, because what will be your last thought when you leave the body? Will it be only Baba or none other? Or will it be any bodily being or object or anything? Actually, objects can be easily forgotten. Things of this world, they can be easily, not remembered. But human beings with whom there are so many bodily connections, relationships, and karmic accounts, they have to be forgotten too. And just one Baba, point of light, and none other. That's the biggest test. I tell you my incident, my example, once we were traveling in a car, and all of a sudden, someone appeared on the road, from nowhere. He just came. And the driver tried to give a very strong brake, but somehow he couldn't apply a brake. And he just turned the wheel, in order to save that person. And he just turned the wheel, and he turned it so heavily, so strongly that the axle broke. Something happened. And all of a sudden, we felt, finish, that's the end of us. Because there was a very, very deep, like a valley on the left. Or there was a very big lamp post in front. So the very thought could be that, oh, this is going to just fall into that big valley. Or the thought that it will go and hit the lamppost. Anyway, it made a big thud, because that person's foot was touched. And he fell down. Well, he fell down and the car moved on the left. And at that time I remember, I was sitting at the back. We were 5 of us sitting in the car. And I just closed my eyes. I said, Baba, I'm coming to you. These were my words, my only thought. Baba, I'm coming to you. And I became so detached. And after some time, I opened my eyes. I was very much alive. Actually, what had happened was that that car went and just slept over the bushes. They were thick bushes. So it didn't go into that deep, pit or the valley, whatever. It didn't hit the lamppost. We were just a few inches away. And it just went and slept over those thick bushes. The wheel came out, the doors slammed open and all that. But then, of course, we were all stuck in the car. We couldn't come out. We all fell on each other. And I got a slight bruise here, and just a slight bruises. That's all. But like Baba took us in his arms, and all of us were saved. And that person who came in the way, he had, some bamboos. He was carrying some wood on his shoulders, and that wood fell, and it came and broke the window pane, the front window, and that window pane started crashing. It fell into pieces, just like a rainfall. Like rainfall, it fell, small, small pieces. And those in the front were hurt a little bit. But we were at the back and we fell on top of each other. But then at the end, we looked at each other. All of us were safe. There was no blood, no, and not very serious injuries. And everyone was safe. And we said, Baba, we are with you. So the last thought which I got, I didn't ask the other ones, but this was my thought, Baba, I'm coming to you. So what I'm trying to say is that how we have to have that practice of going beyond in a second, because that will be our last test. Supposing you hear a very tragic news, maybe it's something to do with you. Maybe the doctor tells me that I have cancer, supposing, I'm just saying. Diagnosis is done and I'm told that I have cancer. Well, it's a very big test. How will I take it? How will I take it? Nowadays, the big disease of AIDS, every day on BBC it comes, how this big problem is increasing day by day, and how those with AIDS are considered as outcasts. People are afraid to even go close to them. It's all ignorance, but that's what it is. And supposing I'm told for myself, how will I take it? Because on the BBC it comes that they take interviews of those people, and some of them are so brave, but some of them are crying and crying all the time. But how will we take it? I have come across so many Baba's children who have cancer, who have AIDS, I know. I've spoken to them. There is one sister, I don't know if she's still alive, but in Australia I went last year, and doctors had given up hopes. But she was so brave, so brave. She couldn't eat, and her whole digestive system wasn't working well. She could hardly eat little bit, just liquid food. But she was so brave. She said she used to come to the center every morning. I was wonderstruck. She said, no, this is giving me the strength. And, well, I was told a few months ago that she is in the same condition. It hasn't deteriorated. But then I know of an instance of one patient. His doctor came to Madhuban to learn meditation. Usually it's patients who come to learn meditation, because doctors advise the patients that go to learn meditation. It will help you to overcome stress and all the anxiety and fear. But here it was the other way around. The doctor came to learn meditation, and he got this message from his patient. Well, the story goes that that patient had cancer, and the doctor had told him that you will not live for more than 6 months. That's your period. But this person had the determination to live. He said, I will live. And he went for many meditations, but then ultimately he came to Raj Yoga meditation, and he practice meditation. He used to sit for hours in Baba's remembrance, and so much faith in Baba. He had overcome the fear, everything. And he also went for other pathies, you know. And after 6 months, when his doctor met him, he was surprised because he never went to him back again, you know. And he was taking other pathis and learned meditation. And after 6 months, when his doctor saw him, he was surprised, and the doctor asked him, "How did you survive?" He said, "I'm learning meditation." So the doctor asked him, "Can I learn too?" Because he used to go to other patients, and whenever he would treat them, he would tell them, "Don't worry, you'll be all right, you'll be all right, don't worry." He used to tell his patients that way, "Don't worry." But one day, one patient got furious at him and said, "Doctor, every day you tell me the same thing, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. But tell me how not to worry. What should I do to not worry?" Because that doctor will not know. He will just say, "Don't worry, everything will be all right." What do you mean by that? "I have so many problems, and every day you tell the same thing, don't worry, don't worry. So tell me, how will I be able to overcome all these problems if I am not worrying?" Well, this made the doctor to think that what should I tell such a patient how not to worry? Just saying don't worry is not enough. Anyway, so when this patient who became Baba's child and who used to practice meditation, who was given that date, 6 months in time, and now he is back on the road, back on the track, and maybe his cancer is receding. So that patient told the doctor, "You also go to learn meditation, go to Mount Abu." So he came to Mount Abu to learn meditation, and he said this story, narrated his experience in this way. So what I'm trying to say is that how Baba is teaching us all this. That's why people go for meditation, but it's very strange. Why? Because when they go for meditation practice, the meditation practice which is usually taught in the world is go into nothingness, blank, become blank, blank, thoughtlessness. Or they just give a mantra, or they tell them to hold their breath, or just concentrate on the breath, that's all. The knowledge of the soul and the Supreme Soul is not given. And many are afraid to talk about God also in meditation, because they think, oh, if he belongs to another religion, maybe he doesn't take this concept, then people won't come to learn meditation. So they avoid using soul, avoid using the word God, avoid using any spiritual terms. They take only on a very logic, physical level. And the result is the inner strength is not received. Because they think, oh, this is part of religion, soul and Supreme Soul. And we tell them, no, this is the only answer. This is the missing link in every profession, in every act. This is a missing link, spirituality. Knowledge of soul, the Supreme Soul, and the world cycle drama. The knowledge of the drama helps us to overcome fear so easily. Children, Baba says, nothing is new. So why have fear? God is with you. Why have fear? You are eternal. Why have fear? It's so beautiful. So that eternity of the self and the company of the Supreme, that thought is never given to anyone. And the result is the fear is never overcome. And therefore, meditations don't help. Maybe they just help to relax at that moment, that's all. But later on, the problems are still there. So Baba says, you just rise above. How will you rise above? Actually, we are the cause of all our problems. In today's Murli, it was there. You just rise. How do you rise above the problem? Don't be worried how this will happen, why it will happen, how and when. Yes, Baba will take care. What is the solution? What can I do to solve? Not think of the problems. That's why we say that don't think of problems, but think of the solution. That is being positive. Problem is there. We say if there is a line, if you want to make that line small, how will you make it small without rubbing it? How will you make it small? Huh? Draw a bigger line underneath. If you draw a bigger line underneath, what will happen? That line will become small, very easy, no? Because everything in this world is relative. Everything is relative. Nothing is absolute. As I say, like this is a big hall, because in comparison to another hall which is smaller, this is a big hall. But in comparison to Om Shanti Bhavan hall, this is a small hall. So how will you say for this hall? Will you call it a big hall or a small hall? It's always in comparison. Only God is absolute, we say, because you can't compare anyone else with God. For souls also we can say that we're all, we have our uniqueness, but because we're all different. So in that way, soul is also absolute in that sense, because there's no comparison. All are eternal souls. But we come in the cycle of birth and death, and therefore in this world there is relativity. And therefore the souls have to experience the relativity. But in my original nature, I am in my absolute self in the soul world. So knowledge of the self, the supreme, the cycle, the company of the supreme are such beautiful things. We say God's hand of protection is above my head. It's such a beautiful feeling to overcome any type of fear. Dadi Janki was telling us something interesting, in this some days back before she went to Delhi. She visited Israel, and Israel, is a Jew country. So she met a soul. Yes, she met a soul who was telling her, because in Judaism they wear a different type of a cap. So she was saying that he told her that this cap actually indicates God's hand of protection. This cap which I'm wearing is God's hand of protection. So because of God's hand of protection, I feel I'm safe. So we always wear this little cap. So it's a good thing to feel that, is it not? That God's hand of protection is always on my head. I remember there was the governor of Rajasthan. He always used to carry a small, like a rod, in his hand, always. He never was without that rod, or this size maybe. And one day someone asked him, why are you carrying this rod with you all the time? Because his wife said that even when he goes to the toilet, he has it with him. He goes to sleep, he keeps it with him, always. He is never without it. And so when he was asked, he said that his guru had given it to him and said that this is going to protect you. Well, but then when he died, of course, the rod was with him. He left his body. But one day he has to die anyway. Protection is not on a physical level. If I say, okay, God protects me, but one day if I am dying, if I have to die, and I say, oh, God didn't protect me, or what? Why did God not protect me? Why didn't Baba protect me? But maybe there is something better than this life which I have to go to that is even better for me. So that is why it's a benefit for me. So protection is not only on a physical level, protection of the soul, that is more important. Protection of our values. When I'm with Baba, I can not do anything which is not right for the soul. That's why we say, okay, this money belongs to Baba, so I can't use it in a wrong way. This body belongs to Baba. I cannot use this body for any impure action. Now, this is Baba's property. So this is a change in the consciousness which I have to keep in my mind all the time. But if it is time to leave the body, Baba will not save me. He won't say, no, okay, you're my child and therefore I'll save you. Baba won't interfere in my karma. But then some people question that, then in what way does Baba help me? Baba helps me to give me the strength to face that situation bravely. That strength comes. It's like there are two patients. Both are having the same problem. Both are having the same type of pain. The intensity is the same maybe, but one is shouting, one is crying, and the other one is in silence, is bearing the pain. Now pain is similar, but why the reaction is different? It's not that the other one is not getting the pain, but the first one is unable to bear it. The other one is able to bear it. The inner tolerance is there. Therefore, tolerance, patience, all these values, they come through meditation. And they come through meditation only when I'm in link with the bestower of these values. That's why Baba says, have your link with me. Always think that the bestower's hand is above my head. I'm never alone. So I was mentioning some points. Actually, there are many reasons why there is fear of death. One reason is fear of, dying. That's one fear, because the soul has to leave the body, and the soul is so attached to the body that there's fear of being separated. It's a fear of removing the costume. The consciousness of the body is so strong. And the second fear is the fear because of attachments to objects. I'll be losing it. There's a very interesting joke on this. How are monkeys caught? Monkeys have lots of greed. And a very easy method for catching a monkey, catching hold of a monkey, you put something sticky underneath a pot and just stick that pot to the ground, and inside the pot put some peanuts, and that pot should have a very narrow neck. And the monkey comes, he puts his hand in that pot to hold the peanuts, and he has the peanuts in his hand. But he cannot take out his hand because the neck is very narrow. And then you try to catch hold of it, and that monkey wants to run, but with the pot. And the pot is stuck to the floor. And it won't run away because it wants those peanuts too. The attachment is there, the greed is there. And because of that, it won't run, and it cannot take out the pot, and the result is it is caught. So Baba says that attachment and greed are the greatest causes of fear. But when we realize that I have no attachment to any bodily being, no greed, I don't want anything, I have everything. Because needs are okay, but wants are so many. I need food, that's fine, I'm getting it, but I want to eat the tastiest of food, the richest of food. Well, then wants are too many. So this is the second reason. The second reason is attachments to objects. The third reason is attachments to bodily beings. As I mentioned, it's difficult to leave the attachment of bodily being because karmic accounts are so strong. That's why Baba says you don't have to become sannyasis and renounce your families, hearth and home, and just become recluses. No. Because if there are karmic accounts to settle, they will pull your intellect back all the time. And therefore, renounce or finish, only when you finish the karmic accounts can you really become free. And Baba teaches us the method for finishing the karmic accounts through my remembrance. All my relationships are with Baba. I see all my other relationships and see them as souls. When I see them as souls and I also see Baba in between them and myself, then my karmic accounts can be settled very easily. I'm not giving anyone directly, and I'm not taking directly from anyone. I give to Baba and Baba gives to him. Or he gives to Baba and Baba gives to me. So Baba is in between. So no direct karmic accounts are created. And through remembrance, I'm finishing off the karmic accounts, and only then I can be freed of all attachments. Otherwise, bodily beings can pull the intellect very much. And therefore, Baba says, have all relationships with me. But it doesn't mean that I don't have to love souls. I love everyone. Not just this one because I have some relationship with this one. No, I have love for everyone. Not I have love for everyone except this one. No. Somebody may say, I love the whole world except my neighbor. Yes? Or I don't like anybody except this one. No. I love everyone because all are Baba's children. And the fourth very important thing is why there's fear of death. Fear of the future. Future. There's always fear of the future. Future is in darkness. What will happen? What will happen? But at the confluence age, we know whatever will happen will always be for the better. My future is very bright. So why should I be afraid of the future? I have done good karmas in this life, and therefore even if I have to leave the body now, I'm not afraid because my future will be better than this. So, because of the faith in the future, there is no fear of death. In the world, there is even more fear because they actually frighten. In Hindu philosophy, they say, you may go and become a pig, you may go and become a fish, you may go and become a dog or a cat, 84 lakh species, they say. There is an interesting slogans on this. If at the time of leaving the body you are remembering your wife, they say, then you will go and become a prostitute in the next birth. If you remember your son at the time of dying, you will go and become a pig in the next birth. If you remember money at the time of death, then you will go and become a snake in the next birth. In this way they frighten. Or you'll go and become a bird, you'll become this, you'll become that. But on the contrary, we say it's good, they are better off than human beings today. Very interesting thing is that once we had kept an elocution competition for little children, speech competition. And the topic was, what do I want to become? Or what is my aim and objective of life? Something like that. And it was for little children, 7-year-old up to 10-year-old children. So one child came up. She was very smart. I think she was hardly 6-7 years old. And she carried a flower, a rose flower in her hand. And she said, I want to become this. I want to become a rose flower. Why do you want to become a rose flower? Then she gave a long list of why she wanted to become. Because of its beauty, because of its color, because it's always giving away, giving everything, giving. So it's giving. Therefore, I want to become like a flower, all the values of a flower. One little boy came up and he brought a toy bird. And what he did, as he came, he pushed the button and that bird flew, toy bird. He said, I want to become a bird. And one interesting point he gave in his speech was, which was actually that it was meant to be for those days, because America had put a sky lab in the sky, a laboratory in the sky. This was many years ago. And the laboratory broke, sky lab broke in space. And the pieces of that sky lab were falling on Earth. In Australia, there was great fear, oh, it may fall on my head, it may fall on my head. And people were told not to go out because that sky lab is falling, those pieces may fall on your head. So this boy, when he was speaking, he was giving his talk, he said, I want to become like a bird. A bird, why? Because this bird is not afraid of the sky lab falling. It is flying in the sky without the fear. It is flying fearlessly, and therefore I want to become like this bird, fearless. This was just a point. But what I'm trying to say is that fear of the future is a biggest fear. And Baba has finished that fear. That's why in Golden Age this fear isn't there. Because the soul knows that I'll go and take a new body. Even now in Kali Yuga, many yogi souls who are really very strong, powerful, not in Baba's family, Baba's children, but even Lokik. They are Hat yogis, and they know how to conquer the ego of the body. Some saints, they get the feeling beforehand that they are going to leave the body. And they tell their disciples that on such and such date, at such and such time, in such and such place, I will leave my body. And they lie down with all their followers, their disciples in front of them. They give them drishti, and then they say goodbye and leave the body. Yes, there are instances. So in Kali Yuga, if such instances could happen, in Golden Age, everyone experiences that. They die, leave the body at their will. That's why Baba says that it's like relinquishing the old coil, like molting of a snake. Have you ever seen snakes molting? Inside there is a new skin, and the old skin gets torn, and just comes out, and it leaves that behind like a trailer or like a tail behind, and then that snake moves forward with the new skin underneath. Because what happens inside, that the snake is growing, but the external skin doesn't grow. So that dies off gradually. And internally it gets a whole new skin, and that's why it's able to leave the whole skin behind. And therefore we say it's not death, it's just leaving the old skin and taking a new skin. Body is a skin, So Baba says in Satyug there is no fear because they leave the body at their own will. And this is the fourth reason. The fifth reason why there is fear of death is, it's because of all the sinful actions committed in life. People are afraid, the soul knows it's going to get punishment for all those sins. Baba sometimes says that the soul at the end, whilst leaving the body, gets all those thoughts, those feelings of what wrong actions it did in its lifetime. That's why some people cry at the time of death, because those scenes appear in front of them and they know that they are going to be punished for that. And that's why Baba says at the end too, some souls will only be crying because they did not do much, they did not make any efforts, they had committed so many sinful actions, so they know they're going to be punished. But those who have finished of all their sinful actions or absolved all their past sinful actions, they'll go back purified, they'll go with honor, with respect. Even Dharamraj will respect them. When we go to prison sometimes to tie Rakhi to the prisoners, In India, it's very common now. In every town, every big city, Baba's children go to the prisons to tie rakhis, to the prisoners. And we see the difference, the contrast, how the prisoners, how they are, they have to be so careful. The police is there, very vigilant to make sure that prisoner is not running away or all that. And they keep hold of everything. They are under protection. But then when Baba's children go, they give us so much respect, so much honor. Sometimes they even salute to us because the jailer, the prison superintendent is with us, so they salute sometimes. But those prisoners there, they are so afraid because they may be punished, they may be beaten, they may be scolded, whatnot. But how God's children go with that respect. It's a great contrast. It's beautiful to see. So Baba says at the end too in Dharamraj Puri, those who have committed sinful actions, how they will go with so much fear. But Baba's children who have purified themselves through yoga, who have absorbed all their past, they are going back totally clean and pure. They will go with so much respect, having accumulated all the righteous actions so that they may enter into golden age. But those who have not accumulated righteous actions, they'll go back empty-handed because they're not able to carry the sinful actions to Paramdham anyway. So, fear of the punishment of sinful actions done in life. And the sixth reason, very important again, the fear of loneliness, being alone, helplessness in that loneliness stage. Helpless. They can't do anything. The body is totally helpless. No strength whatsoever. And here Baba says, you are never alone. Baba is with you. God is with you. It's such a beautiful feeling. And therefore that consciousness has to be kept all the time. The practice of Baba's company all the time should be there. Sometimes Baba says, see that point of light in front of your eyes all the time. That's Baba with you. Sometimes Baba says that point of light is in your eyes. Baba is in your eyes, That's why in bhakti, why they say God is omnipresent? Because some of them see their personal gods or whomever they have faith in their eyes. As if that God is in their eyes. So naturally, whatever is in their eyes, they see everywhere, no? If I have green glasses on, I'll see green everywhere. If I have red glasses on, I'll see red everywhere. There is an interesting joke on this. Once it came in the newspaper. Someone came to someone and said, I can I can make this whole lawn of yours green. In one instance, I can make it all green. And that person said, really? How much money will you take? He said, 50 rupees. And everything I can make green. And said, okay, take the 50 rupees. And he gave him a green goggle, green glasses, and said, okay, wear this and you'll see everything green. So actually, whatever I have in my eyes, I'll see only that. No? So if I have Baba in my eyes, then what will I see? Just Baba. Actually, this concept of God is omnipresence. How did it come? At the beginning of Copper Age, how did it all start? Because of faith and love for God. This was the first reason, one reason. If I have love for someone, I'll see him everywhere because he's in my eyes. Secondly, the devotees used to get visions of their personal gods. They used to get their visions everywhere. Whenever they would remember them, their vision would appear. And that's why they said God is everywhere. And thirdly, whenever they would remember them, they used to feel protected by their God or goddess. That feeling was there, very strong. The experience would come. And therefore they said, I see God everywhere. And also, the ancient sages and saints, they wrote in the scriptures, God is everywhere because He's watching you. Don't do anything wrong because God is watching you. He's everywhere. So they wrote in the scriptures so that people should be afraid to commit sinful actions because God is watching them. They'd be punished for those sinful actions. Therefore, Baba says, actually this was the reason in Bhakti for this concept of God being omnipresent. But today, all those 4 reasons are not valid anymore. That love for God, that faith in God has finished. Those visions which they used to see, they don't see anymore. Thirdly, that protection which they could feel, that is also no more. And fourthly, the fear is no more. Where is the fear? Some people go to a temple, to the church, to the mosque, only to pray to God, God, give me so much strength so that I may kill that person, so that I may rob that person, so that I may, do that wrong act. They want strength for that. So many. What do terrorists do? They do that thing, no? Terrorists are meant for that. They pray. Not that they don't pray. They go to the mosque, they go to the church, they'll go to the temples, yes. Everywhere, all the religious places have become places of this type for these people. And it's in the law that religious places should not be attacked. But so they find the greatest protection in those religious places. And their prayer is only for doing the wrong actions. You mean God protects them, God helps them in that? Definitely not. But that's what they do. And when they are successful, they say, yes, God helped me. Yes. But then sometimes they are fearless because they say, yes, God will help me. But God helps those who help themselves has a very positive meaning, not a negative meaning. The determination is there. Love for God is needed, of course. But for which actions? Those actions which are right for the soul, which have values in them, not at the cost of our values. So we should never give up our values to do anything wrong, come what may. Because if I am sticking to my values, I am with God. If I am not sticking to my values, God is away from me. So Baba says, self-respect, faith in the self, faith in Baba, determination, faith in my future, faith in the drama. All these are different methods for overcoming any type of fear. And faith in my righteous actions. If I'm doing the righteous actions, I don't have to be afraid of anything. Well, if I'm doing something wrong, the first thing will be fear in the self. That guilty conscious feeling will come because the soul is an embodiment of truth and I'm doing something against the soul. Definitely the fear will come. So whatever I do should be according to my true conscience, according to the touchings of Baba, like you heard yesterday in the class. And touchings of Baba will come only when I have no selfish motives, no selfish desires. Whatever I'm thinking should be based on what Baba has told me to do, based on Srimad. Then there is no fear at all. Even if people blame me, I'm not afraid because I haven't done anything wrong. But if I do something wrong, instantly the fear will come. I may be caught, maybe people will come to know, people will find out, and the fear will come. And if I haven't done anything wrong, even if the blame comes, I'm not afraid. In Sindhi there's a saying, the translation comes in the English Murli. The one who is truthful, who is true, he dances because he has no fear. But if there is any falsehood, anything wrong, anything which is against Srimad, the fear will automatically come. If there are attachments, fear will automatically come. It's so natural. And therefore, I have to check at every step, is it according to Srimad? Is it according to the values of the soul? Is it according to my self-respect? Is it according to Baba's instructions? So, if it is, fine, then nothing can happen to me. Even if something happens, it will be for my benefit. So, the easiest way to overcome fear. Any questions? Do you have any questions? Most welcome to ask questions, or anyone to say anything, any experience, anything to relate about how you overcame fear. You want to ask something or say something? Please stand up and say. Yeah. Her question is, they say in Bhakti that the soul chooses its parents for the next birth. Actually, chooses doesn't mean that, oh, this one I want to be my parents. But whatever karmas it does, the sanskars it creates, the soul will get the parents according to its sanskars. It will go there only. With whomever it has got the karmic accounts, it will go there. Pardon? The soul is aware of that, may not be aware of that. May not be. It's not necessary. How do you know? You can't say, okay, I want this one to be my mother or my father in my next birth. Can you do that? You know how Maya comes sometimes in Brahmin children? Amongst Brahmin children, we try to create relationships for the future. This is how Maya comes. I will be born to you as your child in Satyug. Can you guarantee like that? Can you? Can you create relationships here that you are going to be my mother and father in Satyug and therefore I am going to be your child now? No. At this time we are all brothers, no? All souls are brothers. No other relationship at all. But in Lokic world, the relationships which are caused are because of the sanskars or karmic accounts we are creating. And that's how they become our parents or we become their children and so on. And some people say in Bhakti that God sends us, God, that you go there, you go there, you go there. It's not even like that. God is not free to be doing that work. You go there, you go there. No. It's all automatic. The soul has the sanskars, and according to the sanskar, the soul will go to those parents. Okay? Hello? Yes? What happens to our? We give sorrow. Or we go through sorrow. Individual or in general sorrow. We take in sorrow. Actually, Baba says we should neither give sorrow nor take sorrow. But if somebody is taking sorrow, well, what can you do? You have not given him sorrow. But if somebody does take sorrow without our intentions or without our thoughts eyed to, then it is that person's karma. No, what can you do really? You can only give good wishes. But I have to check for myself that even if somebody tries to give me sorrow, I should not be taking sorrow. And for not taking sorrow, I have to change my consciousness. No? That's another subject. Giving and taking sorrow, or not giving and not taking sorrow. I have to change the consciousness. Somebody is blaming me, somebody is trying to hurt me. But I'm a soul, I'm different, I'm detached. And therefore, why should I take this sorrow? Even if he said something, or it doesn't affect me because I know what I am. I have my self-respect. That's what he thinks. No, it's his feeling. It's not my thinking. Therefore, I don't have to take the sorrow. If somebody gives me something and I don't take it, he can't force me to take it. So why should I take the sorrow? I have a choice, no? So my choice is to not take sorrow. And therefore, I take that. I have that choice. Between the two, I have a choice to take sorrow or not to take sorrow. So if I don't want to take sorrow, nobody can entrust it upon me. But those who always take the sorrow, I'm sure it's their karma. What can you do? The only thing you can do is give them the good wishes. That may this soul not take the sorrow. You know? What else? Teresa, where is she? Where did she go, Teresa? I think, is it okay? You have a different view? Okay, we can discuss on it further. Maybe not now. Anything else? Yes? That's it? Yeah? You want to ask anything? Yeah, you? Yeah? You speak Russian or English? Why no? Why not God stop terrorism? Oh, this is a very interesting topic. I forgot to mention one thing. You know, this morning there was a big news on the BBC. I don't know if some of you have heard it. That in the USA they have put a yellow alarm. You know what yellow alarm is? Yellow alert. Now, it is just one step below the red alert. That is, a very big terrorist attack may happen very soon in USA. This is an announcement come from the government. And yesterday it was announced to the media too in USA that just like the 7/11 or 11 September attack, something similar or something even much more than that may come. And therefore, everybody has been alerted in the United States. So, and people are actually preparing for Christmas. And here, this alert has come. So there's a big fear everywhere in the United States of what is going to happen. But what must Baba's children be doing there? I remember, was it last year when the fear was there and children of America asked Baba, Baba, should we come to Madhuban? And what did Baba tell them? Do you remember the message? Baba told them that Baba said, those who are brave will come. And if you think that you should not come or if you are frightened, then stay where you are. This was the answer by Baba. And really, they overcame the fear so easily, and they all came to Baba, and Baba said them, yes, now you have taken the benefit because you could overcome fear. And those who were afraid, they did not come, they stayed there. So Baba is saying that this terrorism has to grow. It is part of the drama. If the terrorism wouldn't be there, how would the fear increase in the world? And ultimately, destruction has to happen, but this is a blessing in disguise, no? Sometimes we say that bloodshed has to increase because the sins in the world are increasing. But ultimately, the pot of sin will break. So it is reaching the climax. It is reaching the climax. And as it will reach the climax, it will start overflowing, then will be the end. So whatever is happening in the world, first of all, Baba says, is nothing new. It's not that why doesn't God stop the terrorism? Also, whatever happens is very beneficial. If this terrorism wouldn't be there, how would the urn of sins increase? how would really people start having love for God? How will people start really, have disinterest for the world? How will that come? If this terrorism wouldn't be there. They don't have this knowledge. We have disinterest because we have love for Baba. We are spiritual, actually, in a way. But those who are materialistic, how will love for God come in them? How will that disinterest for the world come in them if these type of actions don't happen in the world? They'll be more and more attached to this old world. And this old world has to perish anyway. Therefore, these are different methods for people to have disinterest for the world. And therefore, whatever is happening in the drama is beneficial. Some people say that when Copper Age began and sorrow started, why didn't God come at that time and finish the sorrow? Baba says, no, it's not my role to come at that time. I have to come only at the end. Only when the whole tree has deteriorated, like the whole building has deteriorated, then it is demolished. How can it be demolished in the middle when it is still not completely old or deteriorated? So now the whole tree has become old. This creation has become old. It needs a transformation. So these different methods are there for transformation. Terrorist acts and nuclear wars, civil wars, all these things are necessary. But to overcome that, to face that, we have to learn the art of going beyond through meditation. The art of having all relationships with Baba. So when we have that art, we learn how to become fearless, then these things don't affect us. Even if we have to leave the body, doesn't matter. The soul is eternal. That's the consciousness we have to keep. It doesn't mean that we have to fight back. The government is doing that job. Let it do that job. We have a wing called the security wing. So the police force, the army force, the air force, they come to Baba to learn meditation. And they ask us that isn't this all violence? Isn't it part of sin if we are really being violent? So we tell them that's your duty. If at the border, if at the front, the army wouldn't fire at the enemy, then how would the nation be saved or protected? We have to face the enemy, no? So you have to fight against the enemy there because you are protecting your country. You cannot say that, oh, it's a sin. So that's your duty. Where duty is there, responsibility is there, you do it. But this world is going to deteriorate anyway. It has to. That is also part of the drama. We have to accept it. Like this old body, however much good food you eat, nourishing food you eat, the best of food you eat, or the best of air you breathe in, whatever. But the body has to deteriorate, ultimately. Age factor comes. It is inevitable. You can't stop it. So that's part of the drama. Understand it, accept it, but transform your inner self in order to face that inevitable. That's what we have to learn.